So what my thought was, so do you have better odds of getting your money back if you bring it up front versus not?
Yeah, because you bring it, if you don't bring it up front, you're not getting it all.
Got it.
At all. Now, that's a conventional lending program that we have. Now, here's another twist on this. So we talked a little bit about the infinite banking strategy. I at least alluded to it. So I have people that have, and I'm big into this, you use your life insurance policy. I put my money in the life insurance policy. Yeah. I borrow against the policy to buy my investments. But that policy is owned by my trust. So I get a loan from my trust. So when I buy...
So we're talking, another name of this is infinite banking?
Infinite banking.
Okay, cool. So just quick description as to what that is.
So ultimately, I'll just tell you the story. And so we're going to circle back around because I use this in the BRRRR a lot.
Okay, so
that's why we're getting into this.
We're wrapping infinite with BRRRRs.
This is how it works with the BRRRR, and it can be used in different ways. You guys have to call me to get all the different ways to do it, but this is the way we do it. I talked about how I was 460 credit score back in 2009. Everybody's coming here to buy houses. I was a negative net worth. I went into the hospital worth about $3 million. I rolled out at a negative 1.5 when I came out of the hospital. I had to negotiate to get all my debts covered, but I did because luckily I had this massive medical bill that I can hand everybody, $1.7 million for 1 week. I was in there for several weeks. So I got back to where my credit score was up in the 700s. I got $90,000 saved to start investing in real estate in 2016. I heard one of my clients, who at the time had just financed 17 houses between he and his spouse. Now, he was the captain of the USS Tucson nuclear submarine. Then he went to work at the Naval Academy as an instructor. At the time I was working with him, was working at the Pentagon for the chair of the Joint Chiefs, overseeing all weapons for the military, on his way to become an admiral. I had heard through the grapevine that this guy left the military to sell life insurance. So I take a personal, exactly. I take a very personal stake in every single one of my clients and decisions they make because their success ultimately becomes my success. So I called him up and said, hey, is this true? He goes, yes. Are you freaking stupid? And he just laughs about it. He goes, I will not answer that question until you get your wife on a video conference call with us. It was go-to meeting at the time. We didn't have. So it was October of 2016. It's my birthday weekend. We're in a cabin in northern Arizona, and we are on a go-to meeting with this guy breaking this down. And Gary's giving me the full rundown on how to use this. 90 grand sitting aside to buy some properties. I literally, when I was done with this, I took my 90,000. I bought a life insurance policy on me. It had a $2.7 million death benefit. And within the first month, I was able to borrow approximately $83,000 against the policy, less than a month, guys, because I was working with the right guy, that I was able to buy those 3 properties. Each of those properties was generating over $200 a month in cash flow. I took the cash flows and started paying down the notes on the property, paying down the note on the loan against my policy. Plus, I was taking 10% of my income, which is what I saved to get the 90 grand to begin with. I was paying down that note. So I knocked it down from an $83,000 note down into like the mid 50s within about 13 months.
Well, and correct me, while you put the 90 in, you took 83 out, you started investing it and paying it down. But that original 90, the insurance company also is paying you to have that money.
They're paying me 5%.
They're paying you 5% on top of you working your $83,000. Got it.
Yep. So as I'm paying down the note, right, and I had more money available, I pulled it and bought another property. Now I'm generating over $900 a month in cash flow. So I'm paying it down faster.
But don't you have to pay into it as well? Or is there, I don't know much about, I know Unbridled Wealth is one of our business associates and they explain it well. Don't you have a monthly payment or do
you have an annual premium?
Got it. Okay.
But see, since I'm really cycling the money, I can pull it out and pay the premium if I need it.
Yes.
But I'm also generating enough capital to be able to pay the premium.
Got it.
So it is, I'm generating more money. I'm cycling this through and I borrow again. So I started with $83,000 available to me. That's 2016. I deployed over $1.1 million out of that policy because I keep cycling it like a machine. Put the money in, take it back out. Put the money in, take it back out because you're utilizing all your assets. I don't need the cash flow to live right now. I got a very good operating mortgage business.
Yeah.
That pays my living. I take the extra and pay down the notes. So then I decided at that point, this is an awesome strategy. I'm going to get a policy on each one of my kids, then a policy on my spouse. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have my kids come in and sit down and we're going to talk to whoever we invest with and I'm going to let them ask questions. Then I will decide whether or not we invest based upon the questions they ask and the answers they get.
So were you meaning when you said you got policy, were they the life insurance policies, were there like a 90 grand for one kid, 90 grand for the other kid?
It was 90 grand for me, then 5 for each kid. And my wife was 20.
Got it.
Right. Because it all depends upon
they all did the infinite banking concept.
It was all infinite banking. And so ultimately what it boils down to is it's kind of macabre. They look at what your life is worth, right? What kind of income you're generating, what would be the loss if they had loss of life. But each kid, I put in $5,000, but it gave me an $800,000 death benefit.
Yeah.
And it's owned by the trust. So then if something happens to one of my kids or my wife, then that money goes into the trust and it's now family wealth. I decide if I'm going to, eventually I'm going to die. And when I die, my kids need to know what I'm doing with all this. So I've made them part of the family trust in the sense that we sit around the table, we discuss our investments, that we all vote on it, they interview it. When they're interviewing these guys, and the youngest was 9 years old at the time that we do the interviews, she would have the opportunity to ask questions, and her questions got better and better and better the more she was exposed.
Amazing.
Where what was really cool is you saw the guys who were offering the opportunities, their explanation got dumber and dumber and dumber, and I call it dumber, but it was not dumber. It's actually more intelligent to the extent that a 9-year-old can understand it. So I was benefiting two sides.
Wow.
And then, so now my relationships are getting stronger with these guys because I do business with them too. They refer me clients. At the same time, we're investing with them. And so now I have all this back and forth where we're building this up. And now when my kids get married, they and their spouse have to do the same thing. They have to get infinite banking policies on each other, and they have to follow the same pattern. Otherwise, they get written out of my trust. They'll still be in the will, but they're out of the trust. But they need to be able to operate this and has to perpetuate in the future. The other thing I love about the life insurance policy, think about it this way. It's life insurance, not death insurance. It's life insurance. I am insured that I can live my life. I'm going to spend every single damn dime I've got. I want to spend the last dollar the second I pass. So that way I've used every asset that I developed myself to enjoy the life that I have. Because when I die, my family's going to get such a windfall of death benefit that doesn't matter what I leave them. Who cares, right? So all these people.
So you're not even worrying about building up the rental property numbers. And all
I don't give a crap, right? What do I care? They're going to make so much money when I die, it doesn't matter. And that's all going to go into the trust, and they have to perpetuate it for the next generation, right? That's how generational wealth is truly perpetuated, is through these death benefits. That's how the Rockefellers did it. That's how I believe how the Morgans did it. Carnegie didn't do that. Neither did the Vanderbilts. All of it was vaporized, right? Because nobody had life insurance policies.